And viewers, after that shouting match unfolded, the pictures of which left the entire world stumped, came this embrace in the UK. This is the Downing Street, where Keir Starmer, in fact, hugged, welcomed and embraced Volodymyr Zelensky. Now, let's tell you what exactly happened. After those moments of tense conversation and confrontation unfolded in the final minutes of the highly anticipated meeting in the White House between Trump and Zelensky, Ukrainian President met UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Downing Street, and what happened there, that Starmer embraced Zelensky, saying that he had the nation's unwavering support a day after his row at the White House with US President Donald Trump. Now, Zelensky went ahead and after that confrontation, he thanked American people and the leadership and also voiced hope for strong relations a day after an astonishing Oval Office blowout with US President Donald Trump, and many are asking questions on the uncertainty. Now, there is uncertainty about what exactly could unfold after what happened in the White House. Now, Zelensky on Saturday arrived in London for a summit organized by the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer with other European leaders. Now, the UK has even signed a loan deal with Ukraine in London to provide a further £2.6 billion support to Ukraine's defense capability. So just think about the kind of contrast that happened. On one hand, now let's just look at what has happened. Now we're talking about the message that's coming from the UK. Keir Starmer says in no uncertain words, and also remember there was also a meeting between Starmer and President Trump just a few days ago. And then what happened yesterday left the entire world stumped. The confrontation, the way Donald Trump schooled Volodymyr Zelensky, and the way Zelensky was left embarrassed. And now the UK sends a clear message. My support for Ukraine is unwavering. And then he says, the United Kingdom stands with you, Zelensky. So this is the picture that came in. You are very welcome, the first frame. Now, just think about it. Politics is all about the larger messaging. We are going to decode the tale of these two meetings. But before that, let's show you some more reactions that are coming in.
Well, let me just say that you're very, very welcome here in Downing Street. As you heard from the cheers on the street outside, you have full backing across the United Kingdom, and we stand with you, with Ukraine, for as long as it may take. And I hope you heard some of that cheering in the street. That is the people of the United Kingdom coming out to demonstrate how much they support you, how much they support Ukraine, and our absolute determination to stand with you, unwavering determination, and to achieve what we both want to achieve, which is a lasting peace for Ukraine based on sovereignty and security for Ukraine. So important for Ukraine, so important for Europe, and so important for the United Kingdom.
Prime Minister, happy to be here, and really I saw a lot of people, and I want to thank you, people of the United Kingdom, such big support from the very beginning of this war. Thank you, your team, and I'm very happy that His Majesty the King accepted my meeting tomorrow, and I'm thankful that you organized such a great summit for tomorrow, and we are very happy in Ukraine that we have such strategic partners. We signed with you historic documents.
100-year agreement.
Yeah, we have only with you such documents with the United Kingdom. So we're happy, and we count on your support. And really, we're really happy that we have such partners and such friends.
Rishabh and Srinjoy Chaudhary joining us this morning. The contrast everybody is talking about, and it could not be starker. On one hand, you had an icy meeting, tense moments, confrontation, shouting match. The world was left stumped. Many say that they've never seen something like this in global diplomacy. And on the other hand, you have unwavering support, a hug, warmth, assurance. What does this mean? I'd like to take that with you, Srinjoy, because now after these two contrasting meetings, are we going to also witness a shift in global power? Because now it's Europe which is clearly shoring up the support for Zelensky, and US which is stepping up the aggression. And in that scenario, is NATO also prepared for this kind of a new security dynamic?
Well, first of all, as Britain is concerned, this is 2025 and not 1925. Britain is not the foremost power in the world, as it was, say, 100 years ago. So even if you have Britain and France, both of which are nuclear powers, and Germany and much of Europe, will that equal America's military support? That's very doubtful. That's one. Of course, it will be very helpful for Zelensky and Ukraine if there is British support, and overwhelming British support, and also from France and Germany and Poland. And there are many countries there which are going to be supportive. Let's say all these little countries, the Baltic states of Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, even the newer NATO powers like Sweden and Finland have always been very supportive because they see Russia in a different way than Trump does. But American support is so crucial.
Absolutely.
And if American support will...
Okay, Srinjoy, I'll come back to you as we try to, navigate through that technical glitch. But Rishabh, many analysts are saying that when it's about this war, it is not just being fought on the battlefield. Now it's being fought in presidential offices, in diplomatic meetings across the world. Now, Donald Trump's White House clash with Zelensky has sent a chill through Ukraine. Europe is now, stepping up the pressure. Britain has now, drawn a bold line in the sand. But, what's the larger message and how is India looking at it? If you could take us through the perspective when it comes to India's viewpoint with regards to the latest developments.
Sagarika, two things first. First, let's discuss what's happening in Europe. We saw President Zelensky reaching 10 Downing Street, meeting Prime Minister Starmer, and the way both the leaders met was completely in contrast with what happened in Washington, D.C. just 24 hours ago. But having said that, as of now, before the 2.8 billion US dollar loan that has been granted now by UK to Ukraine. Before that, there was a 15 billion support that came in from UK. Similarly, France, Germany, Finland, other countries gave. But all these countries combined is not even close to what US has given, which is $119 billion support that has come in from Washington for Ukraine. So definitely what happened in Ukraine, or what happened in Washington was definitely a setback for Ukraine. But 24 hours later, what we are seeing domestically in Ukraine, the support for Zelensky has further cemented, and that is something that Zelensky was missing for last 2 to 3 months. That has now cemented. Europe is coming together. The situation in Europe is such that many leaders have started talking that what has NATO given to us in last 40 years. I want you to stay with us because we have Madhav Nalapat joining us. Good morning, Mr. Nalapat, for joining us. You've seen, something has changed in the last 24 hours when it comes to, a shift in global dynamics. The clash with President Trump, Zelensky's, public spat with President Trump at the White House, the way he was schooled and embarrassed. Then the support coming in from Keir Starmer. Before I take, I ask you to decode what you make of those two, that kind of contrast. I also want you to tell us about what does this mean for Russia? Does this in any way give Putin an upper hand, or does Europe's stronger commitment to Ukraine change things when it comes to the situation on ground?
Look, the fact of the matter is that Putin was ready for a stopping of hostilities as early as April 2022, when Prime Minister Modi told him to, in his presence. He never objected. He said, frankly, he never objected. He never said anything. And that did not affect his good relationship with Prime Minister Modi at all. The fact is, this war benefits nobody. Maybe there are a few people who skim off money. There may be a few, and manufacturers and this and that will help. But overall, this war has been a disaster for the whole world, and specifically a disaster for Europe.
Right.
It's completely exposed Europe. There's no way Europe can compensate for America.
Absolutely.
Don't forget, the bulk of American money has been grants.
Yes.
The bulk of European money has been given in loans. And if the Ukraine, unless the Ukraine imbroglio ends well for them, all those loans are so much of waste paper. They're staring at an immense, huge financial deficit.
Right.
The EU, for example, most of the help is given by loan. Many of the Ukrainian bonds are underwritten by UK banks and European banks.
Yes.
So they're all in deep trouble. And that's the problem. It's basically money.
Absolutely.
That's at the root of all
Absolutely. I want you to hold your thought, Professor Nalapat, because we also have Ambassador Suresh Goel, former diplomat Suresh Goel joining us. Good morning, sir, and thank you for speaking to Times Now. Like Professor Nalapat says, that this exposes what happened in the White House, exposes Europe, and that is why many would ask, like Professor Nalapat also pointed out, can Europe sustain Ukraine without the US's backing? And also, let's also shift our focus to India's viewpoint when it comes to the things as they are unfolding at this point of time. How do you look at these developments?
One or two things here come to mind immediately. Number one, ever since World War II, the international order that we have seen, the world order that we have seen, is building up of several security alliances. And in that security structure, the global structure, USA-Europe linkages, the alliance, in the form of NATO and then European Union, then CSCE, had played a very important role. What we are seeing now is actually the fracture coming between the USA and Europe and within Europe.
Right.
And that takes me back to the days of World War II, when with the emerging of right in Europe.
Right.
Go back to the 1940s, the right emerged, and the whole Europe was actually on the boil. So what I'm seeing now really here is a repeat of the history. And unless something happens to control the events flow, there is a serious danger that the world could plunge into a war. Okay, that is number one. And for the first time, at that time, it was Poland which led to the war. And this time, it will be Ukraine which will be into the war. And in that sense, what Trump said, that Zelensky is plunging the world into a World War III, has considered. This is not just an empty, they are not empty words.
Right.
Number one.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, Ambassador Goel, and Professor Nalapat, thank you so much for bringing in your perspective to the way things are unfolding, especially after that public spat in the White House between Donald Trump and, Zelensky. Let's now take you through what is NATO's message. Now, the NATO also has an advice for Ukraine. Let's also bring that up here. What does NATO have to say? NATO has asked Zelensky to find ways to restore his relationship with the American president. Now, this after an extraordinary meltdown of sorts was witnessed at the White House. I would like to go across to that reaction coming in, but first up, let's also go to Rishabh. Rishabh, now the NATO has weighed in. NATO says that Zelensky must restore his relationship with Donald Trump. Take us through what this means.
Well, Sagarika, that's what I was talking to just moments ago before Professor Nalapat came in, that NATO was formed during the Cold War to suppress the advancement of Soviet in Europe, majorly Europe and Western world. And that's the reason that North Atlantic Treaty came in. And now, in last 30-35 years, what has NATO done? NATO has fought war in Afghanistan, fought war in Gulf, 2 wars in Gulf, during Bush Senior and Bush Junior's regime. They fought in Vietnam as well. All these war, end of the day, was United States war, not Germany's war, not France's war or British war. So now many in Europe also feel that what has NATO given to us? Even like now, if Ukraine falls, for that matter, if Ukraine is push to compromise with Russia, give up on the 1/3 of its territory to Russia, then what's the meaning of NATO for first place? And that's the reason that we are seeing that European leaders are galvanizing with Zelensky to send a message to Washington that things need to be equal. We understand you are superpower, we understand you have money, you have equipment, but you have to treat us as equal.
But
and
as things stand today, Rishabh, is the demand for equal treatment from leaders in the Europe or the messaging to Donald Trump, what does that what are the larger implications? Is that even justified? Because as things stand today, Trump has made his stand clear. Thank you so much for getting us the latest, leaving you with those two pictures, one of a spat and one of a welcome. How is India looking at this? We'll also decode that, but time for us to take a short commercial break.